What is up, Waffle Gang? My name is Mark, and today we're checking out some r/am I the butthole. If you'd like to skip the initial waffle, timestamps are in the description and along the timeline below. But if you are new here, please consider hitting that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. Very cheeky of you to do so. And yesterday on the channel, we had an upgrade from Starry Bird. Thank you so much for your support and for everyone for taking the time out of your days to be here. Get involved with the channel. It's just absolutely amazing of you. So thank you so much. And with that being said, let's crack on with today's stories. Much love, guys. Now, our first story comes from a throwaway account. Am I the arsehole for kicking my friend out of my house after what she did? My male 36 wife passed away 2 years ago. I have an 11-year-old son named Sean. I'm doing okay with money. I have a stable income and support system. I have a friend named Kate. We've been together since we were kids. She's like a sister to me, although she tends to boss me around. She's introduced me to her female friends, hoping that I'll settle down again. I told her that I have other priorities and I'm required to focus on Sean and his health. He has diabetes. Kate thinks there's something wrong with me, but not everyone's circumstances are the same. I started noticing a pattern in her behaviour. After she introduced me to a friend of hers, she'd tell me to leave Sean at home when we hang out and meet her friends. She'd tell me to take down any pictures that I have of my son and my wife in it, because ladies will assume that I'm a single dad or still married, and that'll limit my chances in dating. I told her to knock it off and said that she was looking out for my social life, saying I'm ruining it and exhausting myself. I stopped talking to her for days, then I decided to let it go. She's been insisting on bringing her friend to visit me with other friends. I agreed to have them as guests. Kate suggested I take Sean to stay with a relative since it would be an adult dinner, but I refused. He was comfortable in his home and didn't want to go. Kate was at my place before her friends arrived. I checked on Sean and told him to tell me if he needed anything before he went to sleep. At 12:30, while I was sitting and just started to chat with Kate's friend, while Kate kept blinking at me with a smirk on her face, I got a text message from Sean telling me he wanted to use the bathroom but the door handle was stuck and he couldn't open the door. I went upstairs to check. Kate followed me. I found the door was actually locked. I was confused. I asked Sean and he said he didn't lock it. I started looking for the key. That's when Kate quietly handed it to me saying she took it. I was stunned. I opened the door for Sean, then I asked why she locked the door. She said that she lied to her friend about me not having kids and didn't want her to see Sean. She said it was no big deal since he was sleeping, but I was furious. I started yelling at her and she kept shushing me. Everyone started leaving after I yelled at Kate and cussed her out for doing this. She blew up after her friend left and said I was an idiot because most people don't mention kids until after months into dating, and that I didn't deserve her help to move on when she thought I was a decent, sane person. I called her stupid and told her to get out of my house. She told me to wallow in my misery and left. Then her friends kept blaming me for making a scene and treating Kate like that, especially since she cooked dinner and helped a lot. What the actual fuck, man? Who the hell does that? That's crazy stuff. I know I pretty much say that on every story. Who the hell does that? But for real, her logic of saying like, no one reveals that they have a child until months into dating. No, they don't. It's the other way around. You tell someone straight away to let them know your circumstances. And if they want to continue dating after that, then great. You don't surprise them later on and then they go, what the hell have I got myself into? The whole locking the child in the bathroom is absolutely crazy behavior. There could have been a whole host of things that went wrong here, like a medical emergency or the house was on fire or something. Then what happens? Wow, that's absolutely crazy. And then for her friends to blame you too. Absolutely not the arsehole. If someone done that and I had a child and that situation came up, you know, their ass would be at the door and I wouldn't be talking to them again, ever. Who needs enemies in your life when you got friends like that, right? Wow, not the arsehole. And Esther Byrne says, what the actual fuck? Not the arsehole, and you won't find anyone saying otherwise. Who locks a kid inside a room and behind their parents' back too? You need to cut Kate off completely. She doesn't understand no, wants you to pretend your son doesn't exist and is spewing off lies about dating etiquette. You absolutely need to disclose if you have children or not from the beginning. And quotes, she told me to wallow in my misery and left. And then says no friend says that. She's the miserable one. Focus on yourself and your kid and do whatever is best and comfortable for the both of you. And Duct says, not the arsehole. She basically wanted to pull a bait and switch on any prospective partners, and we all know that's an arsehole thing to do. And Bossy Goth Girl says, not the arsehole, I'm sorry for your loss. What Kate did is inexcusable. She literally locked your child in their room, in their own home, in a bid for control. Absolutely not. You need to burn the whole damn apron, not just cut the strings. What if there had been a fire? Cut Kate out of your life for good. Endangering your child's welfare is not a way to help you or move on from your wife's untimely passing. And Cruising2244 says, not the arsehole, your friend is showing the behaviour of a psycho. Who locks a kid in their bedroom? Why is she so obsessed with you dating? You're only 36 years old and still grieving. It is not a good idea to lie about your kid. If they can't handle you having a kid, then clearly they aren't the one for you. I know you and Kate have been friends for a while, but no way would I let her around my son again. And Anbu Black Ops says, not the arsehole, and quotes, because ladies will assume that I'm a single dad. And then says, but you are a single dad. You and your kid are a package deal, and any woman who wants a romantic future with you needs that up front. Now, obviously, this is going to be a not the arsehole one, but the story itself, I was like, whoa, that's spicy. But what do you guys think of this story? And what would you do in this situation? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story comes from Saruman the Grey, an actual real username for once. Wow, am I the arsehole for building a fence around my backyard and keeping it despite my neighbours' protests? I live on the outskirts of a big town / small city, making me one of the few people with a big yard. I live on top of a little hill and my yard is really big and runs all the way to a small wooded area, and then the field next to it is also mine. It pretty much cuts my neighbour's yard off. Think like an upside down L-shaped yard. One of the major draws of the area I live in is a lovely view. It's also a big part of why I chose to live in here. Most of my neighbours have no fences. Before Corona, I was only really home in the evening and weekends. Corona has forced me to work at home pretty much all the time. I only have to come to the office once a week at most. As a result, I have started making a lot more use of, well, my house, lol. This includes the yard. I got a back porch and I noticed that I love sitting outside with my work laptop and a cup of coffee, so that is what I've been doing. The problem is, because I was not home much, I barely do any gardening, aside from cutting the grass, which means my yard, especially the portion at the back with a turn, is a perfect soccer field for the neighbourhood kids. Especially my neighbours' kids are using it pretty much all the time. I even caught them dragging a goalpost into it. I went to talk to the neighbours as I'm not happy with random people using my yard, and even less happy about not being able to work because of the horde of screaming kids in my yard. Even if it isn't fenced, but I was met with a whole kids will be kids. They don't have anything else to do for fun right now. Don't worry, you're not using it anyways. I told them I did not want them using it regardless, but as you can guess, by me writing this post, the kids kept using it. So I put up a big wooden fence, the pre-assembled ones where you just got to put in the post and drill in the big wooden panels. It was quite a lot of work while only being able to ask 2 friends for help, but after a few days I was done. My neighbours kept coming out to complain, begging me to remove it, etc., claiming they now didn't have a view. I figured they were overreacting, but now I'm done. Their yard is literally tiny and their view went from a beautiful hilly landscape with woods to the top of a wooden screen. Meanwhile, my view is the same. Their kids have since come over to ask to play in my yard, as have a ton of other neighbourhood kids, as their parents, who are angry their kids now have nowhere safe to play, and I'm starting to feel shitty. I think this one can be summed up pretty easily. It's your property. You asked them not to go in your yard, they did. You put a fence up. Simple as. It's your private land. You do what the hell you want with it. And they was acting totally entitled in this situation. I think if I was in that position and I had that yard and, you know, kids were playing with it, I think there is a compromise to be made somewhere. But the way they've acted in the situation, you know, no. I just wouldn't compromise whatsoever because they're being shitty neighbours. If they were great neighbours, then maybe there's a way of working around it, setting a time or something like that. And this is just a personal view and the way that I might see things, but I wouldn't bend to people who's like totally entitled like that, you know. So absolutely not the arsehole in this situation. And let's not forget as well, I don't know if there's some sort of, you often hear it in these kinds of stories, especially if there's a pool in the backyard, especially if there's a pool, but insurance purposes, if they was to injure themselves on your land, if they're playing football or whatever, or soccer, and they hurt themselves, are you liable because it was your land? You know, you often hear this, I don't know if it's in the UK, but I heard it especially in US stories, things like that, so you have to let me know on that one. But Nana Leone says, not the arsehole, your neighbours are acting like you're obligated for your yard to be a public park. Plus they were obnoxious about it, put up whatever kind of fence is allowed by county code. And Projectile says, not the arsehole, you asked them nicely to not have the children play there as it was affecting your ability to get work done. They ignored your request and their children continued to use your private property and disrupt your workday. To add, depending on where you live, if one of them got hurt on your property, you may be liable for some of the injuries. You put a fence up around your private property as a result of their unwillingness to cooperate. Perhaps you could have reached a middle ground where they could use it outside of working hours and on your days off, but they basically told you to go pound sand when you said you didn't want them there. Now their reduced view and lack of flexibility on your part is their own fault. I'd make sure you check with your local building code office and make sure the fence is allowed, that the appropriate permits are pulled and approved if required, and that all of the fence sits inside the property line and doesn't block any easements that would give the neighbour a legal means to force you to remove the fence. Absolutely, and I love it when US folks say pound sand, it's my favourite thing. And Annie Nerd says, not the arsehole, it's your property, the parents have no say, I bet most just don't want the kids being inside bugging them. And finally, Skippy2716 says, not the arsehole, you tried asking nicely, they acted entitled, you have the right to be able to work outside undisturbed. Their view is very much a non-issue unless they want to make you an offer for the section behind your house. Now, I turn this one to you guys, what would you do in this situation and how would you act? Would you let them use the yard to play soccer? Would you not? And is there insurance issues around it? Let me know in the comments below. And our next story is from No Bit. Am I the arsehole for telling my stepdaughter that she isn't allowed to order food when we go to restaurants anymore? This sounds bad, but hear me out. My stepdaughter is an absolute pain in the neck when it comes to food. She has legitimate and not mild allergies, but most of them aren't common things, so every single meal at a restaurant, no matter what she would get, would need several modifications. With so many special requests, something is always going to be wrong. I understand that, my wife understands that, and probably some level she does too, but it is an entire event every time. She ends up acting like the restaurant is personally trying to kill her. She of course has to send it back, but spirals into breakdown and won't eat whatever they bring back anyway because it isn't safe, regardless of what the truth is anymore. It makes the entire meal a nightmare for everyone, including the restaurant workers. The younger kids end up having their food go cold because they can't eat with drama going on and they don't know what to do. I finally broke and told her and my wife, while we're together as a family, that she would just have to stop getting food when we went out and that she would just need to wait until we get home. Restaurants don't like having people bring outside food. I think it looks really rude anyway, and she just eats later at home anyway due to these episodes. Not only that, but it's expensive as hell for her to do this. Basic meals that would comply are already not cheap, and it creates so much food waste, which I absolutely hate. My wife says that I don't understand what it's like to have to navigate food when you can't just deal with it, like everyone else, and a slight mistake can land you in the hospital, and this makes her feel like she's less than and not part of the family. I just want to stop wasting money and food and have more quiet meals. What I don't get, as a parent, why are you not calling ahead to the restaurant you're going to see if they can even accommodate her allergens anyway? Surely that would be the far easier thing to do. Confirm beforehand and then you wouldn't have these fucking issues to begin with, man. It sounds like she has serious allergens going on that could potentially kill her, and you just wanted to sit there and sort of suck it up, get that down ya, and we'll go to the hospital later and sort you out. I mean, come on, man. Let's not forget how mentally damaging this can be to your stepdaughter as well, that, you know, she's pretty much being segregated from the rest of the family right now because of her allergens, something she can't control. Well done to you, sir. Muppet. Absolutely, you're the arsehole in this situation, and let's move to the comments below to see what they say. And Little Moscovitz says, you're the arsehole, are you fucking kidding me? Girl has legit food allergies which could kill her, and rather than taking the time to review publicly available allergen information on restaurant websites, call in advance or finding a restaurant that can accommodate her, your solution is that she should sit there and watch everyone eat. She didn't choose to have food allergies or the restaurant anxiety around it. You, however, are choosing to be a monumental arsehole. Edit, I have kids with opposite food allergies. There's literally 3 restaurants we frequent as a family. because I would never put either of them in this situation, and one of those restaurants is an hour away with no parking, but it's top 8 free and they can order anything at all with complete peace of mind. And MM172 says you're the arsehole and quotes, I just want to stop wasting money on food and have more quiet meals. And then says then save the restaurant for date nights with your wife or one-on-one outings with other kids and have the family meals at home. Or do the research in advance and find places that can accommodate her instead of getting mad at her when it turns out they're not prepared to deal with something like this. And Judge Jed says, you're the arsehole. While I understand it's annoying, 1, it's completely unfair to make her go without, you just sit there and watch everyone else eat. 2, if she has to send her food back multiple times because they keep messing it up, well that's not her fault. If she tells them plainly, or you or your wife do, what needs to be taken off and stuff, and they should be able to do it in 1 or 2 requests, not several. And Onsono says, you're the arsehole. It honestly horrified me how little you seem to regard your stepdaughter. No person I know with allergies would feel safe eating at a restaurant that already messed up their order once. This isn't picky. This is oops now you're dead or in the hospital. A restaurant that messed it up once clearly isn't taking it seriously enough or knows how to guarantee the food is safe. And then when she is justifiably too scared and upset to eat, you blame her. Lovely. And then you expect her to just wait till we get home to eat. What the fuck? How would you like that? She's a child in your care. Save restaurants for date nights and restrict outings with a family to known allergy-safe restaurants or pack food from home for everyone. Any other option is excluding her, and she has right to feel that way. You just want quiet meals, she just wants to not die. Now, I turn this one to you guys. What would you do in this situation? What do you think OP could do to resolve it? Well, we know what they should be doing really, but hey. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And our next story comes from Niece Not For Me. Am I the arsehole for calling out my niece's excuse for wearing a thong around the house when she was staying over with us? Oh, here we go, guys. Are you ready for this? Let's get involved. My niece, 19, is staying with us for a few weeks while her parents figure out some family stuff. Typically, a 19-year-old would stay alone, but for good reason, her parents, my husband's sister and brother-in-law, don't trust her. I have a 22 and 17-year-old daughters, so I'm acutely aware of this kind of trouble girls get into at this age. After the first couple of days of being polite, I suppose, she started to push boundaries. She wore a really low-riding jean shorts with an obvious thong sticking out, and I initially held my tongue. I would never let my daughters dress like that around the house. When she continued to do it, I said, and I quote, "While it's not my place to tell you what to wear outside, while you're with us, please make sure you're wearing something that covers up a little more," pointing to her back. I thought she'd listen, but she only redoubled her efforts and even said that she wears them because they're comfortable and told me to take a chill pill. I called her out and said we were all 20-year-olds once, and with 2 daughters I can tell you that no one thinks they're the most comfortable thing. You're wearing them to feel sexy, and that's great, but let's be respectful. Unfortunately, she took this the wrong way and blew up her parents' phone telling me I was controlling and she wanted her parents to pay for a hotel room. They obviously refused. Now she's in her room the whole time and refuses to talk to me. Am I the arsehole here? And I'll note, I didn't even call her out on her wearing obviously low-cut revealing tops and a lack of bra basically all the time because I figured I'd pick my battles. And our first comment comes from Dramatic Scarcity saying, "You're the arsehole. How is it 2021 and we still carry the dumb stereotype that thongs are trouble and only for women who want to feel sexy? Many women wear thongs because they are far more comfortable under tightish pants. They are practical and smart, and by the way, your niece is a woman. She's 19 years old. Get the fuck out of her business." Edit. Thanks so much for the awards. I also want to add a response to a lot of pushback on here. 1. Yes, the niece is an adult and she can choose what she wears without being policed by anyone, including the person she's staying with, as long as she's covered. And she clearly is covered. She's wearing pants for goodness sake. 2. It's fine to feel uncomfortable with the tops of someone's thongs. But here's how you address it. Hey, your underwear is hanging out. Here's how you don't address it. Hey, I know you're 19 and want to feel sexy. We all did that at that age, but wear different underwear. Some of you really care about my house, my rules, and sure, OP should be free to live in a house where she doesn't have to see tops of someone's underwear, if that's what she wants. My house, my rules is not an excuse to pass judgment on your guests, though, or control what a guest wears, again, as long as she's covered. 3. People are saying that I and other commenters are missing the point. We aren't. We're just paying attention to the point you don't care about, and that's okay. This is Am I the Arsehole? Here's the point we see. OP made the entire issue about a judgment on a woman who wears thongs and projected that onto her guest as a way to address a much smaller issue. And Sint Alva says, you're the arsehole, please stop sexualizing your niece, also your daughters, but one thing at a time. And MM172 says, everyone sucks here, yeah. Okay, it wouldn't kill her to stick pants that cover her underwear, but frankly, you don't have the authority to let your 22-year-old decide what she wants to wear either. And while I don't understand how some women think thongs and low-rise jeans are more comfortable, I know they're out there, so maybe refrain from speculating on her motivations just because it's not your style. And Onso says, not the arsehole, and it's laughable how many people here saying, stop sexualizing your niece over her clothing choices. Just because you notice and are uncomfortable doesn't necessarily mean you're sexualizing. It's okay if someone is uncomfortable with that. This mum took her into her home as a family favour and is clearly uncomfortable seeing underwear sticking way out. She has a right to be comfortable in her own home, and asking a young relative to cover up under things is entirely within the realm of reasonable. And DSZ says, and quotes, I called her out and said we're all 20-year-olds once, and with 2 daughters I can tell that no one thinks they're the most comfortable thing. You wearing them to feel sexy, and that's great, but let's be respectful. And then says, what does you once being 20 and not finding thongs comfortable, and you having 2 daughters have anything at all to do whether she finds them comfortable or not? You're the arsehole. She's not walking around nude. Leave her alone. Now, what do you guys think of this situation? As you can see from the comments, it was a bit of controversy in there about between your house, your rules, and her just being able to wear what the hell she wants and look how she wants. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Now, once again, guys, thank you for being here today. I hope you did enjoy today's stories. And if you did, you know what to do. Hit that like, that subscribe, and maybe that notification bell too. And just a huge thank you for taking the time out of your day to be here, spending a bit of time with me and listen to a couple of stories. It really does mean the world to me, and I cannot express that enough. And some of you have been telling me that YouTube has been like unsubscribing you from the channel and you haven't been getting notifications. So make sure you are still subscribed to the channel too. And when you do, click that bell and click the notification to always, if you want to be always notified, of course, because it doesn't do that automatically as well. Thank you once again for being here. Thank you for the time out of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Much love, guys. Take care now. Goodbye.